Then we said, well, let's make it allowable to be smaller. And now all of a sudden, you leave an opening that kind of undercuts our other LDRs. And this stuff is complicated. There's a lot of detail here. My concern is I don't feel comfortable just passing this as, well, these are housekeeping things. These are things that this type of zoning is very important for the community to understand. This is what we want, this reflects what we want, yes, you got it right, and go ahead with it. And I don't think that's even vaguely possible with where we are at this point. And so I will vote against it, because I know that there are people in the community that are very concerned about what Lake Worth is. We, as you all know, we care about our community a good deal more than a lot of other communities, and we speak up. But when you've got, and I counted them at one point, it's better than 10 pages of tables that gives you the detail, what you can do and where. You can't read them. That doesn't let the community be active, real participants in it. This needs to be moved to a workshop. It needs to be laid out, at least some of the elements, at least the mixed-use development one. Some of the other things maybe are more in the housekeeping and don't need as much attention. I could go through in some detail some of that. I have a big problem with the beach turtle part of it. I have not counted turtles, but I have gone for hatchings, and I do know something about some of this stuff. On the turtle part, I have a real problem with, on the one hand, saying that, look, we're not equipped to do the level of technical detail that Department of Environmental Protection does, and that we went through with the beach. It was quite a careful process. They have all sorts of things, and they came, and they're very serious about doing that, because that ties into international treaties that the U.S. has an obligation. We have an obligation at various levels of government to do the right thing on that. DEP is pretty good on it. And you said, well, we want to have home rule, but we can't make it looser than DEP. It's got to be that or tighter. I read those things. They're not tighter than DEP. They're much loosey-gooseier. So that's not home rule, because DEP would trump it then. So this gives sort of an illusion that we're spelling it out locally and that it's as tight as the DEP part, but it's not. If our definition is we're going to honor and respect everything that DEP requires, then put their legislation right in here, in which case you can ask, well, why bother? But if we're not going to make it tighter than DEP, which takes some careful thought, way more than the level of detail there, then don't put it in at all, because it gives the illusion that we're doing home rule when we're not. And the point that Commissioner Meyer made, that this, what's written there, is not consistent and knowledgeable about the latest science on it. And it's not the latest, it's science that's been around for quite a while. As Commissioner Meyer correctly explained, it's an orientation thing. The glare off of clouds, off of the sky, is the issue. It's not only the point sources of the lights themselves, it's the glare. And so when the legislation, or the stuff that you've written in there, is so that the light is not visible, what does that mean? Does that mean that the light fixture, if I look toward the west, I can't see the light fixture, and that now meets the requirements? No, that doesn't say anything. It's not the direct light, it's all of the cumulative light that's going up against the sky and coming out. And those ordinances don't address that. So they are not good governance in the sense that they give the illusion that we're addressing something when in fact we are not in keeping with either DEP, which knows what they're doing about this stuff, or in keeping with the current science on it. And it gives a false illusion that we're helping out when we're not. And if those of you who've gone and read this stuff, you'll see that it says everything east of the crest of the dune. This is a little bit looking like sort of opening the door to do whatever you want in the parking lot and not recognizing that the glare issue is an issue, and DEP is going to have something to say about it. So I think we have a problem with the turtle part of it. I think we have a very significant problem with the planned unit development part. I'm not a planner. I'm interested in planning, but my sense is the rules on the planned use developments said they can go down to half an acre, which is 3 of our 50 by 135 lots. It's not very big. And they can be pretty much in any category. I may have misunderstood, But to me, that says that we should be sending out a notice to everybody in this town that you may not have thought that you could have a planned use development next to you, but if we pass this, guess what? You might. And we are not doing a good job of making sure that that discussion has really had a robust community involvement. So I would very much suggest that we, to my colleagues, that we not pass this at this point, at least those portions of it, the mixed-use part and the Turtle, and that we move that to a workshop and really get some public, make sure that people understand what this actually does.
Commissioner? Vice Mayor? No? I receive a lot of complaints in regards to public safety at the beach in regards to the lower lot. The question for you is, are the adjustments to the lighting that you're talking about at the beach, aren't they only for non-turtle season, or they're going to change the whole fixture itself that can be adjusted to accommodate a changing of the lighting volume during non-turtle season? Is that what you're saying?
Well, there's a couple of things. One is DEP is going to govern no matter what.
Right.
In doing the beach project, we did have discrepancies when we were relying on the county and the state to do our beach turtle review. Where this allows us some home rule, we're only going to be responsible in dealing with one agency, DEP, versus DEP and the county and what this Lake Worth wants. This may appear that it's watered down, but it doesn't circumvent or trump anything from DEP. Everything's going to have to be sent through that and be required to get a permit. It does give us some freedom when it comes from the dune side west that we could change light fixtures. The DEP requirements are still going to be in effect. This allows us to add a switching system where you could, when it's off turtle season, we could have more light everywhere at the beach. And when it is turtle season, we'll have a low level of light that is already approved on the dune eastward, and then whatever we can get approved that may provide a greater ambient light on the west side in the parking lot. Our parking lot does not meet the lighting requirements under the Florida Building Code, and it doesn't come close. We do allow an exception in sense because the federal regulation and the DEP does sort of trump the building code, but we have a huge liability for the public that when you're out there, it's really dark, and there have been concerns raised that it's just a matter of time before we have an incident due to the fact that the lighting levels are so low west of the dune, which can be retrofitted to not be negatively affecting the turtles, but also positively affecting the residents and visitors who come to the beach. And this change here would allow us to do that.
Right, that's what I thought. Okay. Also, and as a reminder too to everybody, I believe it was myself and Commissioner Amoroso and Commissioner McBoy and the Vice Mayor that approved the first turtle lighting revisions. And in fact, I actually was there when all the organizations were there and laid on the beach to deal with the different lighting fixtures as they got tested. Personally, we would go up there and physically lay on the beach on the sand and while they were doing the testing. So I agree that we need to make sure that we are not endangering the turtles, but I also want to make sure that we're also weighing in regards to people's public safety at the beach too, you know, especially in the non-turtle season time. So I would encourage everybody to please keep that in mind. In regards to the condition of the files and of the backup material on it, I would agree that I wasn't able to read a great portion of it. And by our own rules, when we go beyond a half an hour discussion of a topic, we move it to a work session. So I would suggest that we move this item to a work session and continue this at a later date unless there are anything's time related.
Well, we do have the issue of the Clear Channel settlement, which is one portion of this. I believe it's
The
Time sensitive.
signs.
it's Exhibit A.
Also, I think the landscape
I'm
issues
sorry, not Exhibit A.
are dealing with pineapple.
Right. So the Champion Tree one as well. So
Can we approve it partially with the?
you could approve it on first reading and direct staff to bring back all those other items. So this will be kind of a stripped down version. On second reading, it'll only be the items that have to go forward, and the turtle issue, And some of the other issues that were raised can be set for a workshop.
Did everyone have a chance to meet with the city manager in reference to their agenda this week?
Yes. Yeah.
You did? Okay, and you asked those questions then? Those are the questions that we have tonight?
Not
Thank you.
all.
We didn't go into detail.
No, we didn't go through all of the detail.
Okay.
There is one point of clarification for the public I'd like to make, though. Under the mixed-use plan development, this only applies to the already existing mixed-use districts that are east of 95. And it does facilitate a higher level of review and public discourse when that plan development is done. All those areas east of 95 are smaller lot areas, but they can already do a mixed development anyway. What we're trying to do is that if somebody wanted to be a little more creative, there would be 2 additional vetting periods for the public to look at that project, which will be before the city commission on the ordinance that would put it in place. And we wanted to be able to, especially if we had a project that was smaller, that may have attributes that the citizens would like to see, this provides an avenue to be seen 3 times versus 1 time. And we thought that was critically important based on some of the feedback we got over time, that projects are being approved fairly quickly. That it was our intent if it meets the strict letter of the law, but then there's other, because we're a non-conforming city in many ways, there is a need to be a little more creative, and that would have to come before you as a city commission under a plan development scenario with an ordinance. And that's what this facilitates.
I personally don't have any issue with it other than the fact that, you know, I don't want to see it move through here quickly because it's already been posed from up here on the dais that this is something that somebody could sneak something in or do something. I certainly don't want that to come out of this meeting. So that's why I would suggest that we talk about it some more. I totally understand what you're talking about. Anyone that's read through comprehensive plans and land development regulations knows that this goes on in every community and this is a regular practice and we're fine tuning it. And again, the restrictions are already there based on what we've already got in place. The non-conforming properties issue is huge throughout our city, and some of these adjustments have to be made on a regular basis. We've already done several of them. So I just don't want, again, the takeaway from this meeting to be that this was something special that was designed to walk away because someone's going to change something and woo. So if it means more discussion, please, let's have it, more discussion. Regardless, it's also a matter of business and we have to take care of business. So keep that in mind as well. Yes, Commissioner McBoyd?
So again, well, I had one comment. I think, William, you mentioned that the intent of west of the dune in the lower parking lot, the intent was, or they come up with something that would not negatively affect the turtles. You heard from both of us who do pay attention to the science that the issue is glare. If you increase the lighting in the parking lot, you're going to increase the glare. And I think if you want to make a statement that it's going to accommodate some other concerns and not negatively affect the turtles, you've got to have some experts here that are agreeing with that. And I don't.
We would rely on DEP. I think you understand our financial straits. I can't afford to bring you a turtle expert, so we were going to rely on the state.
I think we can get Kurt to come up who's well recognized. He'll probably come up for free and talk to us about that, or he could come and meet with you privately, but I think we should take that step. We have a pretty high level of responsibility given our location. Palm Beach County is one of the centers of nesting area. So we should be doing the right thing on that, and we should make sure that we're not just asserting it. I also have a problem with the concept that we're going to turn the lights up in the off-season and then turn them back down to meet the rules in the turtle nesting season. If people have a concern that they don't want to go there because it's too dark, what are they going to do in the turtle nesting season then? I think you're setting up a problem. You know, it sounds good on the face of it, turn the lights up when the turtles don't care because they're not there. That sounds reasonable, but it's a big chunk. You know, if it was only a week that the turtles nest and you turn it down for that and everybody says, all right, you know, if I don't like it a little darker, I'm not going to go. But it's not, it's longer than that. So now to me, it seems like you're setting up an issue, and I'm not sure that it gets us off the hook on liability. I would also point out that the definition of dark varies a lot. It's pretty hard to find anywhere that's dark in South Florida unless you have 2 weeks of hurricanes and everything's turned off. Then it was dark. And even then, you had pretty good star cover. But, so you can see if you're willing to. And I think we should be looking at other ways of dealing with those issues rather than messing with the lights with it. I do appreciate, Mayor, the suggestion that we perhaps pass or give instructions to staff to go ahead with the two sections that deal with lawsuits, the Billboard one and the Champion Tree one. Yeah. I do have a little bit of concern, but we can deal with that later, maybe with the tree part on definition of invasive trees and how it deals with some of our other things, but we don't need to get into it here. I can talk with staff about that.
Commissioner Morrison?
So I would support that.
I amend my motion to include those two. I'm also concerned that you have some tree issues that haven't been dealt with when, we've been dealing with this tree for a very long time. I'm a native Floridian. I support the turtles. I support dark skies. But first, I'm an elected official, and I support the health and safety of all the citizens, both with lighting and also at the beach. I have had lots of emails and lots of concerns about people falling at the beach because it's too dark. So everybody has their own opinion of what's too dark, but I can tell you it's happening right now. As far as dark skies, looking back at dark skies, not only at the beach, but in our neighborhoods, I've asked once, I've asked twice. I want to see what both of those lights look like in your neighborhood, right next to each other, because again, if we can lower the wattage, all for it. But safety comes first.
Agreement. We're supposed to be looking for that comparison that Siemens was going to do so we could see what the actual temperatures.
They didn't manufacture the new lighting. They went with the 2700 Kelvin, which was the issue.
Right.
So there's not really a comparison between what they're proposing to see. I'm not sure. Most recently, an issue of wattage has come up. So
Right.
we're reviewing that right now.
Okay, and I want to follow up on that too. Okay, so we've got an amended motion on including all the items except for the turtles and the,
Historic Resources Preservation Board and Exhibit B in its entirety.
I would have to amend my motion, and I haven't spoken yet.
I didn't know you had to,
Well,
absolutely. Vice Mayor?
This is pretty confusing. There's a lot in this agenda item, and I'm not terribly comfortable that we start, piecing it tonight, because it sounds like we get lost in the translation. So is there a clean way, City Attorney, that we can do this?
You can simply postpone this entire item, and with the direction you give the staff can come back next meeting with an ordinance for the items that are non-controversial, so that it's clean and you know exactly what you're approving. We'll deal with the lawsuits. We'll just, deal with the other lawyers. I'll moan and groan, but that's okay.
Why can't we take care of those at the
We
same
could.
time?
If you're willing to do that, then that would be the easier way to do it.
There's a lot here.
I agree.
And as things typically go around here, this discussion will go on and on and on. And I think this agenda item needs to be cleaned. If there's some outstanding issues that need to be discussed on and on and on, let's bifurcate them out of the whole thing and let's move forward.
I think that
That's
was,
exactly what I was asking
yeah,
for.
that was your proposal.
That was what I was-
To pull the tree one and the billboard one and approve those now.
I'm talking about having them come back with a different agenda item that does not include these hot topic items. And then maybe each one of those items could be dealt with individually.
Okay.
That's really,
That's what they do.
City Attorney, can you give me a ruling on that, please?
You can either way. You can either put this all off and we can bring you back a clean, non-controversial ordinance, and perhaps even the more controversial one, if you over the next month have a chance to talk through that and have two separate items. Or you can vote tonight to approve the ones that seem to have consensus. It seems like
Yeah.
you have concerns with certain items, sea turtles, lighting, historic preservation, and you can carve those out if you'd like tonight. You really have a choice. You can do either way.
I would suggest we do that so we can move some of the city business forward and not hold off all of the city business.
Was it controversial about the portable storage units? That is becoming a rather pervasive problem for code. And
What are you butting your nose into this for? Nobody talked about that one.
Fair enough.
I would suggest that maybe staff would, could you just run through like A, B, C, and say the ones that you believe are non-controversial, and we can, the commission to vote on tonight. And
Well, I think the issue dealing with the billboard, which is a non-conforming sign section, I didn't hear any negative feedback on that one. The portable storage units was fairly clear. The issue dealing with fences, walls, and gates and the entrances to those, there are people who are waiting for that. The issue in regards to townhouses and their entrances on an alley is something I know that many of us in kind of neighborhoods want to have that clarified. That was not controversial. And the issues dealing with the champion tree and the landscape portion. Those sort of 5 areas would be it.
Can we just strike the light issue for the beach?
And the development issue.
What, the development issue, what aspect?
One at a time, okay? Vice Mayor, you go. This is your turn. You've got the floor. Thank you. You.
I just
No, I don't.
said something and he made a comment, I'm asking him for clarification of what specifically he doesn't agree with, so we didn't pull out of this. Seems like the big issue here is the lights. If that's the issue, let's pull it and move on.
That's not correct, with all due respect.
Well, there's
Both
five
of
of us
us.
up here. You made.
Commissioner McBoy, okay. Go ahead, Vice Mayor, and then we're not going to go back and forth. You know how I
We're
feel.
going back and forth.
You guys are going back and forth. That's not the way the meeting
I'll tell
goes.
you what, I'll withdraw my motion, and we can get somebody else to make the motion. Okay?
Commissioner Amoroso already withdrew. He made the
No,
motion.
we didn't.
Pamela, who made?
The Vice Mayor made the motion, Commissioner Amoroso seconded.
Okay.
So I amended mine.
Vice Mayor, what would you like to do?
I'm just going to withdraw my motion and have somebody else come up with a clean motion.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion.
I move to follow William Waters' list. I think that, if I'm not mistaken, his list was ones that we could all support. And if you quickly run through them, real brief version, to confirm that we're all on board, then...
The ones you just read.
It would be definitions in regard to the champion tree settlement.
Yeah,
That includes a couple definitions related to assembly usage, which I don't think that's controversial, what assembly use is. That will not change, we'll pull out the permitted use table. We can include the off-street parking provision, because that's a clarification. The fences, walls, and gates, portable storage units, supplemental regulations regarding non-conforming signs, and that would be it.
So what are we omitting?
We're admitting the rezoning provision. We're deleting the plan development provision. We're deleting the penalties provision for historic preservation, and we're deleting the sea turtle protection.
correct. I can support that. That's my motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by the Vice Mayor. Commissioner comments? Commissioner Amoroso.
Real quick, William, has either Commissioner McVoy or Commissioner Mayor talked to you about any of these issues as far as their concerns on these issues?
Well, I know Mr. McAvoy and I talked about sea turtles before, but it wasn't in the near recent past.
Okay, call the motion.
Got a motion on the floor and a second. Commissioner Meyer?
I called the motion.
Oh, you called the motion, sorry.
My pencil was up. I'm sorry.
The motion has been called.
Okay.
All
We've got a motion on the floor and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Moving on to